Welcome to The Explainer. If you're planning a deck or pergola project here in San Diego, consider this your ultimate survival guide. Look, we're going to dive right into why so many of these dream outdoor projects turn into absolute nightmares. You see, building a deck here, it's really not like building one anywhere else. And if you ignore the unique local factors, you're pretty much guaranteeing massive cost overruns, devastating delays, or worst case, outright structural failure. So today we're setting the stakes, and we'll show you exactly how to bulletproof your investment before a single post hole is even dug.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with San Diego's unique environmental elements, then move on to engineering the unseen skeleton. After that, we'll calculate the real costs, and finally, we'll wrap up with navigating contractors and codes. Let's get into it.
Okay, $60,000. That is a massive number staring right back at us, isn't it? So how does a simple $40,000 dream deck suddenly balloon into a $60,000 structural liability? Well, the data shows that most local San Diego projects actually run up to $15,000 over budget and a whopping 6 weeks late. Sure, it starts lower for basic ground-level platforms, but the mistakes? They are incredibly predictable. By the end of this explainer, you're going to know exactly how to avoid becoming just another statistic.
All right, Section 1, San Diego's unique elements, navigating the environment. Let's tackle the specific hurdles of building in our region.
Now, coastal neighborhoods like La Jolla and Point Loma are absolutely beautiful, but they will literally eat standard building materials for breakfast. A huge mistake homeowners make is picking out deck materials just based on color, which is a critical error. Look, if a contractor uses standard galvanized fasteners, the constant salt spray in the air is going to rust them out in just 5 years. 5 years! That totally compromises your entire structure. Your countermove? You have to specify grade 316 stainless steel for all screws, bolts, and connectors right from day one. Yeah, it costs a little bit more upfront, but it absolutely prevents a catastrophic collapse down the line.
And moving inland, we hit another massive environmental hurdle. San Diego has tons of canyon-adjacent properties that fall into the Wildland-Urban Interface, or WII zones. If you're living in one of these zones, your deck construction is heavily, and I mean heavily, regulated by Chapter 7A of the California Building Code. You literally cannot just slap down untreated wood or build too close to flammable vegetation. And failing an inspection here? It doesn't just mean a fine. It can actually result in an outright tear-down order. You must use ignition-resistant materials. We're talking capped composites or dense hardwoods like IP. And you have to meticulously design that underdeck area to stop any flammable debris from piling up. Moving right along to Section 2, engineering the unseen skeleton, foundation first. It's time to pivot away from surface aesthetics and focus on the critical support right beneath your feet.
This crucial point is perfectly captured by a quote from Renology. The single biggest mistake San Diego homeowners make is focusing on the deck's surface instead of its skeleton. And it's so true. People will literally spend weeks agonizing over a Trex board color that comes with a 25-year fade warranty, but they'll spend maybe 5 minutes reviewing the actual structural plan. It's wild. The fasteners, the flashing, the footings in the frame, that unseen skeleton, those dictate 90% of your deck's safety and durability. A truly great contractor is going to spend way more time talking your ear off about Simpson strong tie connectors and ledger board flashing than they ever will about color swatches.
And you know, San Diego's unique topography makes that skeleton even more vital. We're dealing with expansive clay soils in places like North Park and incredibly steep canyon sides pretty much everywhere else. Because of this, site-specific engineering is absolutely mandatory. If a contractor just hands you a standard cookie-cutter quote assuming you have easy, perfectly level soil, man, that is a huge red flag. Because the minute they start digging and hit hardpan or realize they actually need deeper, wider footings, boom, you get hit with expensive change orders. Plus, based on prevailing wage data, labor costs here escalate incredibly fast. Always insist on a quote based on an actual soil assessment, not just a blind guess.
Okay, picture this. Here's a scenario that breaks budgets every single day, treating a pergola as an afterthought. You build this gorgeous deck, right? And then a year later you think, hey, we could use some shade. But wait, your deck's foundation was never designed to handle the massive, concentrated load of 4 heavy pergola posts. So what happens? You are forced to literally tear up your brand new decking to reinforce the structure from below, basically doubling your total cost. The takeaway? Factor potential pergolas into your foundation design from day one. It's just a minor upfront cost, but it saves you a massive headache later on.
Which brings us to Section 3, calculating the real costs, materials, and surprises. Let's dig into the financial realities you'll face over the actual lifespan of your structure.
So there's this massive lifetime cost illusion when it comes to quote-unquote cheap wood. Homeowners see the higher price tag of composite decking, panic, and then immediately drop down to something like pressure-treated pine or redwood. Let's break down Project A here, a redwood deck. The initial $28,000 build sounds pretty great, right? But out in sunny Poway, you're going to be out there scrubbing and sealing that wood with oil every 12 to 18 months instead of actually enjoying your weekend. Over 10 years, that tacks on about $9,000 in labor and materials, pushing your real cost to $37,000. Meanwhile, look at Project B, a mid-range composite. It costs $36,000 up front but requires almost zero backbreaking labor over a decade. The math doesn't lie. Over 10 years, premium materials are almost always the smarter financial play.
And let's be real, no construction project goes exactly to plan, which brings us to this absolutely essential number, 10 to 15%. The National Association of Home Builders strongly recommends setting aside this contingency fund, especially if you're renovating a home that's over 30 years old. Why? Because the second that contractor pulls away your old deck or stucco, who knows what they'll find. They might uncover hidden surprises like dry rot in your home's framing, or even termite damage. Or maybe excavating your yard in Scripps Ranch suddenly requires specialized, expensive equipment because they hit unexpected rock. For a $50,000 project, you really need to mentally set aside an extra $5,000 to $7,500 just so these inevitable surprises don't completely derail your build.
All right, our final stop. Section 4, navigating contractors and codes, finding the right pro. Because someone actually has to execute this highly engineered plan, right?
Listen, you simply cannot just hire a general contractor who only occasionally builds decks. You need a true specialist who genuinely understands local codes and soil conditions. Think about it. If they don't properly flash a ledger board against your house, you are looking at thousands of dollars in water damage. So, here's your rapid-fire vetting checklist. 1. Get 3 quotes. 2. Check 3 references. And 3, this is critical, visit at least one finished job that is a minimum of 5 years old. You really want to see how their work actually holds up to the San Diego climate over half a decade. Check those fasteners for rust, look at the boards for excessive fading, and inspect the structural posts for any signs of shifting. Now, as you're reviewing those 3 quotes, this is the most important question you need to be asking yourself. How do I know if a contractor is padding the quote? Because knowing exactly how to read a bid, well, that's your very first line of defense against overpaying.
So let's go over the immediate warning signs of a bad quote. First, if you see vague line items like miscellaneous materials or general labor without any detailed breakdown, huge red flag. A trustworthy quote uses highly specific names like Trex Transcend Lineage and Carmel or Simpson Strong Tie HUCQ hangers. Next, if they hit you with those high-pressure today-only sales tactics, just walk away immediately. That's a cheesy sales gimmick, not professional construction. And finally, pay super close attention to the deposit. California state law actually strictly limits upfront down payments to protect you as a consumer. A contractor can only ask for 10% of the contract price or $1,000, whichever is less. If they ask for a penny more upfront, they're literally violating the law.
And let's be crystal clear about this next point. Post-construction change orders will absolutely destroy your budget. It is the fastest way to blow a project's finances out of the water. Once construction has started, if you decide you want to alter the footprint or suddenly change your mind on a composite decking color after the materials have been ordered and delivered, well, that triggers a devastating ripple effect. It messes with labor schedules, you get hit with material restocking fees, and it often requires really costly permit revisions with the city. You've got to lock in every single decision during the design phase before you ever sign that contract. So we've covered the corrosive coastal air, those tricky canyon soils, the hidden costs, and how to spot shady contractors. The surface of your deck? It's really just the tip of the iceberg. So I'll leave you with this to ask yourself, what will the unseen skeleton of your next outdoor project look like? Is it going to be an engineered powerhouse built to last for decades, or just a hurried afterthought that's waiting to fail? Prioritize that structure, protect your hard-earned investment, and make sure you build it right the very first time.